Okay, so Warzone is well into Season 5 now, and along the way we've seen many changes. One thing that stayed consistent throughout, however, is the UI design for various menus such as the inventory, the buy stations, and the loadout drops. Now, if like me you feel they deserve some TLC, then stick around to see how I propose they go about some quality of life improvements. So from day one of Warzone launching, this is how the current systems work. We all know of the list format for the loadout drops and the buy stations, as well as the very basic inventory. I will go into more detail on these shortly, but first let me give you some background info on the design I am going with and the inspiration behind it. Yes, the sprays and emotes menu. Just hear me out for a second. Radial designs are great for this sort of menu. They are clean, they're easy to read, they're quick to navigate, whether using a mouse or a controller on a console, and it's for these reasons that I've decided to go with this design. Now, the actual design here wouldn't work very well in its current state due to it being quite a small circle, but I'm going to take the key elements, for example the style, the colour scheme, and use this in making my design. The idea is to make it larger in diameter, so the outside will be very much the same, being segments with icons. However, making it larger means that there'll be a much bigger space in the centre for the key information that I want to show. Let's start off with the loadout drops. Currently in game, as I mentioned before, this is in a list format. To me, there are a few problems with this. The first being that if you want to select something, say bottom of the list with a mouse, you've got to pan down and select it. Now, that's not the end of the world, but the problem gets worse when you use a controller on a console, for example. You want to, say, select something mid-table, you've got to D-pad up and down and select it. It can take, a little longer than you want it to. The second is it can be quite cluttered and hard to read, especially when you're trying to be as quick as possible and you've got pressure from enemy fire. The amount of times I have panic selected or panic bought something is embarrassing. With the radial dial, I think it will really help to solve these issues. A quick rotation on the mouse or the analog stick in a 360-degree circle will see you be able to select them much quicker. This, in combination with actual images as opposed to text, makes it much faster and easier to read. Important, useful information is displayed in the center of the circle depending on which segment you will have currently selected. So, with this in mind, here is my mock-up. Now you may notice there are only 4 loadouts to choose from here. Wouldn't it be great if the player could customize the amount of loadouts that they want displayed? This could be changed in the edit loadout screen, giving the player multiple possibilities in terms of how many segments there are. If you only ever use 2 loadouts, customize the menu with just 2 segments. If you want all 10, then so be it. I myself only pick from around 4 different loadouts, so the rest are honestly just there as extra clutter. I think the personal customization here would be a great touch. So let's take it a step further and see it in action. Now this is just a concept, I've made it in Unreal Engine 4. And this is just to showcase how the system would work, so let's take a look. You'll have to excuse my ultra realistic loadout drop here, but this is the general idea. Run up to one, open it up, and there is your options for the loadout you want to select, with the center having the key information. Simple as that, in, out, super quick. And when I say super quick, I mean super quick. This is an example of how it currently works. Yeah, it's still quick, don't get me wrong, but split seconds count here. And this is just how quick it can be. In, mouse down, boom. Analog down, boom. You're in and you're out. Next up, the buy stations. Same format, more segments, no wall of text from the list. Each section is represented by an image, and if desired, some more information can be displayed in the center once highlighted. Let's see it in engine again. So again, rotating the mouse in a 360-degree fashion, we can highlight a selection. The center is updated with key information including the cost of the item and whether or not the player has enough money. As you can see, I currently have $10,000, so I can buy anything in the menu, which is represented by green text. After buying a loadout drop, I've used up all the money. Now when I go back into the menu, nothing can be bought due to having no money, and this is represented with red text for each item. I power up debug and give myself some extra money, and you can see the items update as they become available and enough cash is met. All is working as expected, although there are some bugs elsewhere you may notice, and also yes, some of these prices are now out of date, but I just couldn't be bothered to go through and update them all. Call me lazy, I'm sorry. Anyhow, another feature I thought would be cool would be the ability to buy back multiple players in one instead of having to reopen the buy station menu each time and buy them back individually, obviously taking into account the player has enough money. So using the right mouse button whilst highlighting any of the 3 dead players would buy back all of the available ones. In this case, the player has more than 13,500, which is required for 3 players, so they can all be bought back. Of course, the player could also buy back individual players by pressing the left mouse button. And also please note, the UE4 examples here are all shown using a mouse and keyboard, but I'm sure you can imagine how this can all translate to a controller. Also, can we get rid of having to confirm our selections? It's not needed. Last but not least, we have the inventory. Now, this is not the most imaginative inventory I've ever seen, I have to admit. Again, having to pan with the mouse to the desired slot or use the D-pad left and right in the controller can cost the player time. Well, again, I think my design would only aid in speed and readability here. So, back in UE4. We can press and hold the inventory button to show it on screen. Once again, selections can be made by rotating the mouse or analog stick. Left clicking will drop one item or stack, and if the player has more than one, right clicking will drop them all. Ammo will stack to each caliber's maximum. I've even added the ability to drop equipment. And the weapons can also be dropped without having to swap them out first. Being able to drop kill streaks or field upgrades could also work here, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of the possibilities with this design. For the money, the default drop value is $500 when pressing the left mouse button. However, the player can increase or decrease the drop amount by using the mouse wheel. This will then drop the shown amount when left clicking the mouse. Right clicking will drop all the money regardless of what the current drop amount is. And finally, clicking the middle mouse button will split the money straight down the middle. And that about does it for my Warzone UI redesign concept. The main reason for me making this video was that I was just curious as to what other people thought. Do you think it needs updating, or are you happy with it to stay the way it is? If you like my design, give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Think you have an even better idea than mine? Then please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much if you managed to make it this far, and I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please consider subscribing for future content, and I will see you in the next one.
Stay here. Get to the safe zone. Setting a charge.